You keep telling yourself a story about who you are, what you like, why you do what you do. You repeat it so often that it feels solid, fixed, true. But it is a construction. And most of it was built before you were old enough to choose. You say you are independent. Yet you feel anxious when someone disapproves of you. You say you are kind. Yet you resent people for needing you. You say you are strong. Yet you crumble when ignored. You call these contradictions moods, stress, circumstance. They are not. They are cracks in the identity you perform. You are not who you think you are. You are who you had to become. There is a difference. The personality you defend so fiercely did not grow naturally. It adapted. It organized itself around survival. Around belonging. Around avoiding pain. Think about how quickly you adjust in different rooms. With your family, you become smaller. Or louder. With friends, you exaggerate parts of yourself. With strangers, you curate carefully. You call it social awareness. It is self-editing. And you have been doing it for so long that you no longer know what is edited and what is real. When someone criticizes you, why does it burn so deeply? Because it does not hit your behavior. It hits the structure holding you together. From early on, you learned what earned approval. Maybe it was being quiet. Maybe it was being smart. Maybe it was being useful. Maybe it was never causing trouble. You received love conditionally. Not always cruelly. Not always consciously. But conditionally. Smile and you are good. Achieve and you are worthy. Obey and you are safe. Your nervous system memorized this. So you built a self around it. You became the responsible one. The funny one. The strong one. The invisible one. These are roles. Not identities. But you merged with them. You think your anxiety is random. It is not. It is the fear of losing the role that once protected you. If you stop being the reliable one, who are you? If you stop being impressive, will anyone stay? If you stop pleasing, will you be rejected? This fear does not come from the present. It comes from a younger version of you who discovered that love could disappear. You may not remember the exact moment. The mind forgets details. The body does not. Notice how you over-explain yourself. Notice how you replay conversations at night. Notice how you feel responsible for other people's emotions. These are not personality traits. They are survival strategies. And you have mistaken survival for identity. You think you choose your partners freely. Look closer. You are drawn to what feels familiar, not what is healthy. Familiar chaos feels like home. Familiar distance feels normal. Familiar unpredictability feels exciting. Your body recognizes patterns before your mind does. If you grew up walking on eggshells, calm love may feel boring. If you grew up unseen, you may chase people who confirm that invisibility. If you grew up praised only for success, you may attach your entire worth to performance. You tell yourself you just have a type. What you have is repetition. Unconscious repetition. You are not choosing from freedom. You are choosing from memory. Memory shaped into instinct. And instinct shaped into identity. You say, that's just how I am. But how you are was formed in reaction. Reaction to criticism. Reaction to neglect. Reaction to comparison. Reaction to fear. When a child cannot change their environment, they change themselves. You did. You became easier. Or harder. Quieter. Or louder. Perfect. Or rebellious. All to maintain attachment. Because attachment meant survival. And survival felt like love. Now you are an adult with a personality built around avoiding an old wound. You overwork so you never feel useless again. You avoid intimacy so you never feel abandoned again. You control everything so you never feel helpless again. It looks like ambition. It looks like independence. It looks like strength. It is fear, reorganized. Carl Jung wrote about the shadow. The parts of you that were rejected, shamed, or punished. Those parts did not disappear. They went underground. The anger you were not allowed to express. The sadness that made others uncomfortable. The selfishness that was called bad. The vulnerability that was mocked. You buried them. But buried does not mean gone. They leak out. In sarcasm. In passive aggression. In sudden rage. In emotional withdrawal. You say, I don't know why I reacted like that. You do. You just do not want to admit which part of you was speaking. The part you disowned. You have split yourself. There is the acceptable self. And the unacceptable self. You identify with the acceptable one. Polite. Rational. In control. And you exile the other. Needy. Jealous. Envious. Afraid. But the more you deny the shadow, the more it controls you from behind the curtain. When you judge someone harshly, notice what they represent. Often, it is a trait you suppressed in yourself. The confident person may irritate you because you learned confidence was arrogance. The emotional person may annoy you because you learned feelings were weakness. The selfish person may anger you because you never allowed yourself to want. Projection is not weakness. It is information. You think you know yourself because you can list your traits. But traits are surface. Your real identity is shaped by unconscious agreements. Agreements like, I must be needed to be loved. I must be impressive to be respected. I must not be too much. I must not be too little. These rules run silently. They decide which jobs you apply for. Which risks you avoid. Which conversations you never start. You believe you are acting from preference. You are acting from protection. Protection from shame. Shame is the quiet architect of your identity. It whispers that something is fundamentally wrong with you. Not your behavior. You. So you compensate. You become exceptional. Or invisible. Or endlessly agreeable. You create a version of yourself that feels safer than the raw one underneath. And then you defend that version as if it is your true self. It is not. It is armor. You say you want authenticity. But authenticity threatens the system that has kept you safe. If you admit you are hurt, you risk rejection. If you admit you are angry, you risk conflict. If you admit you are lost, you risk losing control. So you curate. You speak carefully. You reveal selectively. You maintain an image. Even alone, you perform. Notice how you talk to yourself. The voice in your head is not neutral. It sounds like someone. A parent. A teacher. A critic. A culture. It evaluates constantly. You should do better. You are falling behind. Do not embarrass yourself. You call it self-discipline. It may be internalized judgment. And you obey it. Because long ago, obedience felt like safety. You believe you are rational. But your reactions often bypass logic. A small rejection feels catastrophic. A minor mistake feels like exposure. A neutral silence feels like abandonment. This is not about the present moment. It is about what that moment represents. The old fear reactivated. Your body responds first. Tight chest. Shallow breath. Restlessness. Then your mind creates a story to justify the feeling. They do not care about me. I am failing. I am not enough. The story feels true because the emotion is intense. But the intensity belongs to history. You think your insecurity proves you are flawed. It proves you adapted. You shaped yourself around what would reduce pain. But adaptation has a cost. You lost contact with parts of you that did not fit the role. Maybe you were naturally bold. But boldness was punished. Maybe you were sensitive. But sensitivity was mocked. Maybe you were creative. But creativity was dismissed. So you cut those parts off. Not physically. Psychologically. You learned to say, "That's not me," when it was. Identity fragmentation does not feel dramatic. It feels normal. You simply stop accessing certain emotions. Certain desires. You say you do not care. But indifference is often suppressed longing. You say you are fine alone. But isolation may protect you from intimacy. You say you are low maintenance. But maybe you stopped expecting to be cared for. You built an identity around limitation. Around what felt possible in your early environment. And you carried it forward. Now, when opportunity appears, you hesitate. Not because you lack ability. Because success threatens your established self-concept. If you are the overlooked one, what happens when you are seen? If you are the underachiever, what happens when you excel? If you are the victim, what happens when you gain power? Growth destabilizes identity. So you sabotage subtly. You procrastinate. You pick fights. You withdraw. Then you say, "That's just who I am." No. That is who you became to remain consistent. Consistency feels safe. Even when it hurts. Your relationships reveal this clearly. You may complain that people always leave. But you choose those who are emotionally unavailable. You may say you fear abandonment. But you leave first, emotionally or physically. You may say you want deep connection. But you avoid vulnerability. These are not contradictions. They are defenses. Your unconscious goal is not happiness. It is familiarity. Familiar pain feels controllable. Unfamiliar safety feels dangerous. So you recreate dynamics that confirm your internal narrative. If your narrative is, "I am not enough," you will unconsciously select situations that reinforce it. You will overgive and feel unappreciated. You will overwork and still feel inadequate. You will overthink and still feel uncertain. Because certainty would challenge the identity built around doubt. You think clarity will free you. Clarity threatens your structure. If you are not broken, then why have you organized your life around fixing yourself? That question is destabilizing. So you cling to improvement as identity. You are always becoming. Never being. Always analyzing. Never resting. Because stillness might reveal the emptiness behind the performance. And emptiness feels terrifying. But that emptiness is not absence. It is unintegrated self. The parts you exiled wait there. The anger you swallowed. The grief you minimized. The desire you judged. The ambition you restrained. Integration feels dangerous because it requires admitting that your current identity is incomplete. You are not one solid self. You are layers. Conditioning layered over instinct. Fear layered over desire. Shame layered over authenticity. You defend the outer layers because they are familiar. But they are not the core. You think you know your limits. You do not. You know the edges of your comfort. You know the boundaries of your old survival map. When someone challenges you, you feel exposed. Not because they see the truth. But because they threaten the story. The story says you are consistent. Predictable. Defined. But beneath that story is something fluid. Uncertain. Alive. You resist it. Because fluidity means you are not as fixed as you believed. And if you are not fixed, then who are you? This question is uncomfortable. It removes labels. It removes roles. It removes the carefully constructed narrative. It leaves you with awareness. Awareness without armor. You are not who you think you are. You are who you learn to be. And beneath that learned self is a deeper one. Not perfect. Not pure. But real. The real self includes your contradictions. Your capacity for cruelty and compassion. Your longing for closeness and fear of it. Your desire to be seen and your instinct to hide. You tried to choose one side. To be good. To be strong. To be controlled. But wholeness requires admitting both. The shadow is not evil. It is unlived life. When you deny it, it rules you. When you face it, it integrates. This does not feel empowering at first. It feels destabilizing. You may notice how much of your life has been reaction. How many decisions were avoidance. How many relationships were repetition. This realization can feel like loss. Loss of certainty. Loss of identity. But what you are losing is the illusion of solidity. You were never as fixed as you thought. You were patterned. Conditioned. Adapted. And patterns can change. But only when seen. Not judged. Seen. The moment you observe your reaction without defending it, something shifts. The moment you admit, this is fear, not personality, something loosens. The moment you say, this anger is old, something integrates. These moments are quiet. No fireworks. No transformation speech. Just awareness. And awareness dismantles illusion slowly. You may realize that your confidence was compensation. Your humility was fear. Your independence was avoidance. Your busyness was escape. This is not accusation. It is clarity. You are more complex than the version you protect. You are not the mask. You are the one wearing it. And the one beneath it. At the same time, the identity you think is stable is actually dynamic. It updates with every experience. But you cling to an outdated version because it once kept you safe. Safety is not the same as truth. You learn to be who others could handle. Now you must decide if that is still who you are. This decision is internal. No one else can see it fully. From the outside, you may look the same. But inside, the narrative shifts. You stop saying, that's just me. You start asking, where did that come from? You stop defending every reaction. You start observing them. You stop identifying completely with every thought. You start noticing them as patterns. This creates space. In that space, identity softens. You no longer need to be the strongest in the room. Or the smartest. Or the most agreeable. You can be uncertain without collapsing. Angry without exploding. Vulnerable without dissolving. Because you are not protecting a fragile persona anymore. You are exploring a complex self. This is unsettling. Because the story you told about yourself was simpler. You liked the certainty. Even when it hurt. Now you see the cost. The cost of always being composed. The cost of always being needed. The cost of always being in control. You are tired. Not physically. Psychologically. Tired of maintaining the image. Tired of rehearsing responses. Tired of anticipating rejection. This exhaustion is not weakness. It is the signal that the constructed self is heavy. Too heavy. You are not who you think you are. You are not just the anxious one. Not just the successful one. Not just the abandoned one. Not just the strong one. You are the awareness behind all of them. And awareness does not need to defend itself. It only needs to see clearly. The discomfort you feel reading this is not attack, that it is recognition. A quiet knowing that parts of you have been hidden even from yourself. You do not need to destroy your identity. You need to question it. Gently. Relentlessly. Because the most dangerous illusion is the one that feels like you. And the most honest sentence you may ever admit is this. I became who I needed to be. But I am not finished becoming.